The holiday season is known for bringing family and friends together and creating happy memories. But for some, holiday memories are surrounded by tragedy.
This month, we will be sharing one unsolved missing person story every single day. We hope sharing their stories will help bring them home for the holidays.
Waterville, Maine is located along the north central section of Kennebec County. It has just under 16,000 people that call it home. Trista Reynolds and Justin DiPietro were Waterville residents. Trista and Justin were lifelong acquaintances and it eventually morphed into this whirlwind romance in 2009. Trista found out she was pregnant later in the year and she would give birth to Ayla Bell Reynolds April 4th, 2010. With their relationship being so brief, Justin asked for a paternity test and it further confirmed that Ayla was indeed his daughter. Trista and Justin did not have a relationship just for the sake of their daughter. They didn't force a marriage. They just chose to co parent the best they could.
Oh, that's awesome.
A formal custody agreement was never curated, but it was known that Trista had primary custody in Portland, about an hour and a half away. And when Ayla was just under a year old, Trista gave birth to a baby boy with her then boyfriend. Co parenting was a bit rough between Trista and Justin. CPS got involved and ordered Justin to pay back child support, and at this point in Ayla's life, Justin was requesting visits. Trista obliged at first, but not allowing overnight visits. Trista struggled with substance abuse off and on. On October 13th, 2011, Child Protective Services intervened, basically telling her, shape up or ship out. Trista placed her kids into the care of her mother, Becca, and her sister, Jessica, and then traveled to an inpatient rehab facility in Lewiston, about an hour south. Trista was devoted to getting clean for her children. And while Trista was away at rehab, Justin, his mother, and his sister were determined to regain custody of Isla. The Department of Health Services got involved, and CPS ordered Becca and Jessica to surrender custody to Justin because they prefer a blood parent to have custody over a extended family member.
Yes.
When officers arrived to retrieve Ayla, she didn't want to leave with her dad. But Justin forced her and he took her back to his home in Waterville, where he lived with his mom, his sister, and his niece. Justin stayed in the basement. On October 20th, a scheduled meeting between three CPS representatives, Trista's sister, a couple doctors, an attorney, and Trista was to occur. Justin phoned in for this meeting rather than attending in person. An agreement was reached that once Trista completed the program on October 22nd, that Isla would be returned to her. It was also determined that Justin would bring Isla for visitation on October 21st before Trista got out. But Justin never brought her to visit. The reluctance for Justin to bring Isla to Trista was ongoing for several weeks. CPS was less than helpful in Trista's attempts to regain her custody of her daughter. And after some arguing back and forth, Trista agreed to let Justin keep primary custody of her, but to allow Trista to visit Ayla regularly until she had a better footing to stand on. At the time, she was living in a hotel. Trista wasn't giving up hope on getting her daughter back. On November 12th, Ayla was taken to the emergency room where x rays showed that she had broken her arm. When explaining what happened to Isla, Justin said that he was carrying her in one arm and groceries in the other the night before, and he slipped and fell on top of her while walking into the house.
Oh,
It had
no.
been raining. It had been raining, so it's understandable that
Yeah.
accidents can happen. Her arm was placed in a soft cast to allow it to heal, which a doctor confirmed that the bones were in fact healing when they returned to the doctor a few weeks later.
Okay.
Trista regularly called Justin in hopes to speak with Isla, and she missed her daughter terribly and was just counting down the days until she could regain custody. Justin wasn't very perceptive to letting her speak with Isla because she would call literally every single day. December 15th, Trista filed the necessary paperwork to request primary custody. During this time, Justin also was texting Trista about how he felt someone was trying to kidnap Isla, but Trista blew him off originally. Friday, December 16th, 20-month-old Isla was put in bed wearing green jammies with polka dots with the words Daddy's Princess on the front. Around 10 o'clock, Justin's sister peeked in to check on her. And it wouldn't be until after 8 a.m. the following day that Justin noticed Ayla was missing. He calls 911 at 8:49 a.m. to report her missing. A search ensued immediately. Police canvassed the neighborhood all day Saturday, even used tracking dogs. The fire department and the Maine State Warden Service did a flyover. The FBI were invited in to also help with the search, and as you can imagine, the weather in Maine was frigid at best. The low for the day was 17 degrees, and the high barely reached over freezing at 33. It was imperative for Isla's survival for them to find her quickly because she was only wearing pajamas the last time they saw her. Game wardens brought in boats to check nearby rivers and streams. Police seized Justin's home as evidence, as well as 2 vehicles to process. One of the vehicles was Justin's, and one of them was his girlfriend's. Justin originally seemed like a typical dad who had lost their child. He was searching for her. He had T-shirts made, flyers made, buttons, other items to spread awareness about Isla's disappearance. Many media outlets began to cover her disappearance. More than 75 officers and game wardens, 50 civilian volunteers worked tirelessly searching for any evidence that Ayla was alive. Even the trash company had people working overtime searching for her. They combed every single dumpster, opened every single bag of trash that they processed. The search continued for days. The local businesses gathered $30,000 for a reward fund, and this brought in over 1,200 leads, but none of them panned out. Trista kept pushing for media coverage, making sure the entire nation knew that her daughter was missing. Less than 2 weeks after Ayla disappeared, law enforcement shifted their focus from Ayla being lost to foul play being suspected. Did someone take her from her bedroom?
Why?
Now,
Did it ever say why the dad thought someone was trying to kidnap her or wanted to take her way back when he told the mom that?
it doesn't say why he was
Why he even
putting that
thought
out there,
okay.
but hold on, you may form your own opinion.
Okay.
Remember how I mentioned that the police seized the house as evidence?
Yeah.
That's because they found evidence of Isla's blood being in the house.
Oh, no.
According to an affidavit, they even were able to collect enough information that, quote, more than a cup of blood, end quote, was found throughout the house, and that a person or persons attempted to clean up the blood before the authorities arrived on scene. It was in multiple locations. Some was found in Isla's bedroom on the slippers that were on the floor next to her crib. A baby doll's face and arms were smeared with blood. In the report I read, it said it looked like she'd picked up a item that brought her comfort, like her favorite doll, and rubbed her face on it, like
Oh
tried
my
to bury her
god.
face in it.
I am not about to cry.
It was on the couch in the living room, but most disturbing is that the majority of the blood was found in the basement on Justin's mattress.
Mm.
Blood splatters consistent with Ayla's size were also on the walls, along with projectile vomit. Vomit was also found on Justin's bed and inside the back seat of the vehicle that they seized. Justin's sister said that the luminol radiating from the crime scene photos and the blood splatter was a result of vomiting because she was lactose intolerant. I can't
Wow.
imagine a 20-month-old baby vomiting so much that it would light up a room.
Yeah, I agree.
Isla's case slows at this point. No new leads and not enough evidence to build a case against those in the house that night had come together. Something happened in that basement, but proving it was the hard part. As part of the investigation, Trista learns from law enforcement that Justin had driven from Waterville to Portland and back before he called 911. He claims he did that because he thought Trista may have snuck in and taken her. On the drive, Justin also calls his insurance man, who was a friend, that he had just recently taken out a $25,000 life insurance policy on Isla, even
What?
though even though he had only been granted temporary custody, for a few weeks.
Oh gosh.
In 2017, a judge declared Ayla legally dead so that Trista would be able to file a wrongful death lawsuit against Justin, his mother, and his sister. Some of the documents that came out of this lawsuit allege that someone or multiple people at that house that night tried to remove Isla's body and put it in a quote unknown location because blood samples were taken from Isla's car seat that was strapped into Justin's back seat. They also found more dried vomit there as well. Isla's case is still unsolved. They have not recovered her body. The search done for Isla is known as one of the largest searches done in Maine's history. There is a GoFundMe campaign to help fund hiring different experts in the wrongful death lawsuit. The lawyer is working pro bono, but the experts can be costly. I'll link it in the show notes. If you have any information about Isla's disappearance, please contact the Maine State Police at 207-624-7076.
This one. I had heard of this case, but I didn't do a deep dive into it. I just saw it on the news.
There is so much more out there. Several podcasts have covered it at this point. Most notably, the 2 episodes I listened to was from our friend Kristen at Murder She Told.
Oh,
She
yeah.
covered it in a 2-part series, and it's just heartbreaking. I barely scratched the surface on
Wow.
this.
This is I just hate it. A rough
Mhm.
day.
Today is a rough day.
These poor little babies.